Herzlich willkommen, Bina Zvinit. I wish you all welcome for this debate, for this presentation in the framework of our Eco Piazza Day. And it's very good that we are with Laura Krampfert, who is in Germany, and from Germany, from Baden-Württemberg, will present us the principal points of the Romanian Geoparks and the UNESCO Global Geopark, and Cristina Toma will react on it and will discuss with us. You worked together the last months, and this is a very good occasion to present also another program from UNESCO, because we have this program of Kulturweit Freiwillige, how to translate this, the culture-wide volunteers. And this is a program where young people can go abroad, can stay for 6 to 9 months in another country and work in cultural context. And I'm very glad that not only you are here, Laura, to present us the Geopark, but also that we have 2 other volunteers here, Julia and Johanna, who conceived this day. This means the Eco Piazza outside with some other of our colleagues, Cristina and Maria. And we have every year these volunteers beginning their professional career. And when they come, I also ask them, please prepare at the end of your stay or during your stay your personal project. And what you see today outside here and inside is their personal project. And I'm really glad about this. I have to thank you. Thank you very much. This is a great event you organized, and it shows also that it is worth and important to participate young people in the things we do as older persons in this. We are in front of this very beautiful photography, and maybe Cristina, because we talked a little bit about it before, what shows us this photography?
Yes, thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you very much to the volunteers for this idea. This photo is from the Buzău Aspiring Geopark, and what you see in the back, the white mountain there, is a salt mountain. In Buzău land we have many salt mountains, and of course many other very interesting geodiversity points, like the eternal flames or the sandstone concretions, and you'll see some examples in Laura's presentation. And I think I'll let her talk more.
Yeah, you might be right. You shouldn't spoil what she will tell us. And so I will give the floor to Laura, who will present in 15 to 20 minutes some important points, and then Cristina Toma, who is working for the university, for the geological department, if I'm not wrong. You're also doing a PhD, and you have different also volunteer positions as secretary of the Geological Society of Romania and of the Romanian Geoparks. You will react on it. We will talk a little bit, and then you have also the opportunity to ask some questions if you want, or you go back to Eco Piazza and have another beer, you hope. So,
very good idea.
We are also we say also thanks to our sponsor, because tonight we have our sponsor Beck's, the German beer brand, and we are very grateful that they gave us some fresh bottles of beer. But now, Laura, I give you the floor for your presentation, please.
Okay, thank you.
We hope that the technique is right. Just a word.
Can you see the whole?
Yeah, we see it. It's good.
Perfect. So I am very happy to have the chance to introduce you to the world of the UNESCO Global Geoparks and their contribution to sustainable development. By being a volunteer at the Romanian Geoparks Forum, I can tell you it's a huge contribution, and sustainable development is one of their key points. That's why I will talk about it tonight. So to begin, I would like to talk about the concept of the UNESCO Global Geoparks and to look at the Romanian geoparks. After that, I will deliver you insight into the way how the UNESCO Global Geoparks contribute to sustainable development. And for every part of the presentation, I will give you actual examples for better understanding. So let's get started. The label UNESCO Global Geoparks is a label consisting of 3 words. The first word is UNESCO. UNESCO is an abbreviation for United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. So it's an organization of the United Nations. It has members of 193 states, and one of the goals is the preservation of culture and nature. Therefore, there are the geoparks. You can see the logo here. Also the biosphere reserves and the World Heritage Sites that make a contribution. The second word of the label is global. It's global because geoparks are spread all over the world. You can see here a map with all the UNESCO Global Geoparks in it. The third word of the label is geopark, and I will explain the meaning of a geopark to you in a moment. But first, I would like to show you how the whole label was created. In 2000, 4 geoparks from the European Geoparks Network. They were from France, Greece, Germany, and Spain. And in 2004, 25 geoparks formed the Global Geoparks Network after the network expanded. In 2015, the UNESCO created the label of the UNESCO Global Geoparks. And today there are 169 UNESCO Global Geoparks in 40 countries. And once again, you can see them here on the map. So now we talk about the last word, about the geopark. This is the logo. And a UNESCO Global Geopark is a territory that has geological resources, natural resources, and cultural resources. Geological resources are, for example, type of rocks, fossils diversity, or geological phenomena. You have here some examples. On the first picture, there is a salt river. And we have here a strata where the dinosaur fossils were discovered. Then there are sandstone concretions and dinosaur eggs. The next resource is the natural resource. A natural resource are, for example, landscapes, like you can see here, the landscape with a salt mountain from the Busaland, then bird species or plant species. Here are some pictures. The third resource is the cultural resource. It's all inheritance transmitted from generation to generation, like values, beliefs, and traditions that are still alive in the community. And the inheritance can be divided into tangible and intangible inheritance. Tangible inheritance are buildings like this monastery. You can see it here on the left. And the intangible inheritance can be crafts like building a natural whirlpool. It's here in the middle. Or traditional dances. And this is the Romanian dance that's called Kalusari. In a few minutes, we will see how the UNESCO Global Geoparks deal with these resources to create sustainable development. But first, I would like to introduce you to the Romanian geoparks. At the moment, we have 3 states of UNESCO Global Geoparks in Romania. The first state is the initiative of UNESCO Global Geoparks. They take the first steps to create a geopark. In Romania, we have Cap Terra and Oltenia de Submunte. Capaterra is located in Transylvania, and it includes 3 communes. You can see it here on the map. Oltenia is located in Oltenia, and it includes 6 communes. The second state is the aspiring UNESCO Global Geopark. It's a geopark that is applied for the UNESCO Global Geopark status. And in Romania, it's Bosauland. And Bosauland is located in Muntenia and includes 18 communes. Last but not least, we have the UNESCO Global Geoparks. It's a geopark that have the label and have to re-evaluate every 4 years to examine their functioning and the quality. In Romania, it's Hatzek, and Hatzek is located in southern Transylvania. It's here on the map, and it includes 11 communes. So maybe now you ask yourself why all of these geoparks want to be an UNESCO Global Geopark, and there are a few advantages. The first advantage is having the opportunity to exchange experiences with other members of the geopark network and to cooperate in common projects like participating on international days like the World Environment Day. You can see it here. Furthermore, the geopark is more noticed internationally, and being in UNESCO Global Geopark improves the image and results in getting more visitors. This increases income of the local communities and so their standard of living. So that means besides the UNESCO Global Geoparks, also the local communities profit from having the label on a long run. And this is one aspect of sustainable development. Sustainable development is impact on a long run, so like education and involving the community. And the actions don't have a negative impact, like mass tourism or abuse of constructions or chaotic deforestation. For sustainable development, there are some steps to do. You can see it here. The first step is identifying the resources. We talked about them at the beginning. You can see it here. It's the biological resource, the geological resource, and the cultural resource. After that, the second step is interpreting the resources. That means understanding them as a part of the local identity and finding out how we can use them to create sustainable development. Then we have here protection and conservation. That means that the geopark protects, conserves, and preserves the resources and not deplete them, while they use them for following actions. Then the next point is the geoeducation. Geoeducation means the geopark is involving the local community and the visitors and talk with the people about the geopark resources so that they can understand what it is all about and raising awareness, local pride, and belonging feelings. It's also discussing with decision makers like local authorities or stakeholders. And then we have the socio-economic development. That means that the geopark inspires people to care for the resources and to become stewards for it, like creating new initiatives, products, or jobs. So now we know what sustainable development is, and I will give you specific examples of activities which happen in the geoparks. First, we have the Bosauland Aspiring UNESCO Global Geopark, and here you can see the geological resource, the Old Lady from Olmütz. They are sandstone concretions, and here the geopark inspired and advised the local authorities to create a local protected area at the Old Ladies and hired 2 locals to protect and clean the area. Then we have here the Styrian Eisenwurzen UNESCO Global Geopark. Here you can see the geological resource. It's the Salza Valley. It's a 200-million-year-old rocks and conglomerates and deposits from the Ice Age, and they have a unique biodiversity. And this geological resource can be experienced by georafting. So that means that people can explore the Salsa Valley by a rafting boat, you can see it here on the picture, and learn all about the nature and the geopark by this tour. Also, the local community is involved because the geopark is working with a rafting company and gives workshops for georaft guides. And this workshop is also going to be repeated every year. Then we have the cultural resource. It's, for example, the GeoFood label. This label certifies the quality and use of mostly local ingredients, and the products tell stories about the geoparks. For example, in Hatzek, we have here a pasta that is called Dinosaur's Nest and a pizza that is called Dino. On the left, we can see the products there in Eisenwurzen UNESCO Global Geopark. They sell local brandy, herb tea, or honey. So here we have the Hatzek UNESCO Global Geopark, and you can see here this cultural resource. It's Dying Rule and a women's association from the geopark used natural plants to dye wool. Then we have here the Saturn UNESCO Global Geopark with Panya Batik. Panya Batik is also a cultural resource. It's a technology of painting colorful patterns on fabric, like you can see here on the picture. And it's done by a community in Thailand. In 2002, there was a problem that community had 20 members. And due to uncertain income, many of the members left or wanted to stop their business. To help the local community and avoid that this technology becomes extinct, the geopark involved the community and applied to more geological expertise. So the community decided to use natural materials to dye fabrics and draw fossil pictures on the fabrics in order to narrate the geological story. So the geopark also encouraged the community not to only sell these products, but also to give short basic courses for tourists. And all of these activities brought more popularity, income, and better livelihood to the community. For example, unemployed housewives and old people earned more income from working in this community, and young people returned to their homeland with career ambition. So this whole kind of sustained development in the geoparks contributes also to the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations as well. There are a total of 70 goals, and the goals are part of the Agenda 2030, and they should be reached by the year 2030. The agenda is a plan of action for people and the planet. So maybe you ask yourself now what these goals are. You can see them here, and how the UNESCO Global Geopark do contribute to reach these goals. And I will explain you that with the help of the examples we've heard a few minutes ago. So there's, for example, goal 8. It's the promotion of sustainable local economic development. And this is one of the key points of a UNESCO Global Geopark, because they create job opportunities for the local communities through tourism, but also through the promotion of local culture and products. A job opportunity is, for example, being a georafting guide, and local culture is, for example, the dyeing technique, and a product is the geofood. goal 12 is to ensure sustainable consumption and production. And UNESCO Global Geoparks educate and create awareness on sustainable development and lifestyles by different activities. One activity is the GeoFood label, and it certifies the quality and use of mostly local ingredients, as we heard before. Of course, the geoparks do contribute to reach the other goals as well, but I presented only 2 of the goals to you to get an impression how huge the contribution of the UNESCO Global Geoparks to sustained development is. So I hope that you have seen tonight how important the geoparks are and that you enjoyed the presentation. So thank you for your attention.
You were perfect in time. Thanks a lot. Really good. Just one question before I give the floor to Cristina. You are now back in Germany after this experience in Romania. What will bring the future for you? Do you still engage in these issues, or will you do something completely different? What the future will bring?
In like 1 or 2 weeks, I will come back to Romania, and then I will end the volunteer service in August. And after that, I am planning to study urban planning, and yes, so this is my plan for the future.
So urban planning, but you could really use also the experience you made about nature, so to say, in your studies. Great, thanks a lot. Yeah. I will give the floor to Cristina and ask her what you want to add, what you did. Have your reaction, please.
Thank you very much. First, Laura, it was perfect. Congratulations. It is very difficult to present the geoparks in just 20 minutes or so, because usually we have courses at the faculty, like all year-long courses. But these were the fundamentals of a geopark, meaning that the geopark is about protecting, but also developing. So not the kind of protection where you put a fence. So you have this wonderful piece of geology here, let's say, or I don't know, a species or something like that, and we put a fence around it, not for anyone to enter. This is not the case. We encourage people to come and see it, and the idea is, like Laura said very well, to inspire them to care for that piece of geology or whatever cultural or natural resource we are talking about. And this inspiration is the part that she explained called interpretation, which is the valorification of natural or cultural heritage. And how do we do this kind of valorification? Through museums, for example, or through visitor centers, where we explain and we show the greatness of the heritage. And also through thematic trails, for example, and of course through education. The programs, the educational programs, like we had in Hatzeg. We had, I think, for 3 or 4 months, a very interesting program, online, unfortunately, an online program, but after all, it was called Science School for Edu Geopark. And it was with the schools from the geopark were invited to attend a real conference or a talk, let's say, not a conference, but a talk of a scientist. And from 3 to 3 weeks or something in this amount of time, people, professors, and also the school children were listening and asking questions to this scientist in different kinds of areas. When you hear the geopark, you usually think something that is related to the geography, geology. is not the case. As you saw, we start with having wonderful, from a scientific point of view, geological heritage, but also biological and cultural heritage. That's why we invited more scientists from different domains. And what was really interesting was that each school organized this event in partnership with the geopark, not the geopark as a host, but each school from the geopark. And this was a real engagement with the local community.
Yeah, thank you. But doesn't this mean, to be a geopark, UNESCO Geopark, that you have also much more obligations? Talking about constructing houses, and this isn't it also complicated? Because I know this for, you talked about of the UNESCO World Heritage, the different aspects about it, and so I know sometimes it's become really difficult to do things in this areas. How do you deal with these questions?
Actually, it's a totally different program. This one with the geopark, different from the World Heritage, and we don't have these regulations. You don't have the regulations with like we have in national parks, for example, regarding nature, or those regarding this kind of building, and that's it. It's a more open program. What are the guidelines and the basics that you have to fulfill to be kept in this network? Because from 4 to 4 years, we have a revalidation, and there are 2 scientists from UNESCO that are coming in the field to check if everything is the same. And they check for this kind of museums that I said, for the visiting trails, for the involvement, how actually is the local community involved. Also, if you have educational activities, and what is very important, if you have sustainable development, sustainability activities. Also something new, I know this very well because I helped to create the file for UNESCO for Buzău Land Aspiring Geopark. And what is very important is that we have to develop some activities related to climate change in these geoparks. So actually it's more about educating than putting some restrictions and some strict regulations.
Mm-hmm. And this morning I was in the Baniasa forest, and it was very interesting because I've met there was a press conference of a very known German author, Peter Wohlleben. Maybe Laura, you know him, and his bestseller, The Secret Life of Trees, and he's coming to Romania to in the framework of certain activities with his academy. He has a forest academy, and he explained to us everything about trees, everything's also about the importance of trees. And he explained me, but I'm really not a specialist at all about this, mainly also the differences between what we call primary or virgin forests and forests as, how do you say, in Germany, for instance, you have more than 90% of the forests are cultivated forests,
yes,
to say. So not virgin and primary forests. And he explained the importance. And if I'm not wrong, Romania is in Europe the country has still the most virgin forests. Mainly, maybe also only in European Union, I don't know exactly. But is there also a relationship to this in the geoparks? I mean, are you promoting, so to say, this kind of forest? Maybe also we could talk about animals.
Yes.
Do you promote, for instance, having wolves and bears in these geoparks? So what I mean, nature is not nature. Nature can take very different aspects. How can we imagine the strategy and the politics of such a geopark?
Yes, we also promote, of course, the biodiversity of the place, because as she showed us, when we say actually natural resources, we refer usually to the biodiversity area. So it is the geological, which is one side, the biological, also the other one, and the cultural one, which is the third part of a geopark. And yes, we promote and again we educate about biodiversity, but the geopark doesn't have restrictions regarding the fauna and flora and so on. But we are, for example, now we are working in Buzăuland for a thematic trail that is in a forest in Colț area. Colț area is an area with very known in Romania for amber, and is the only place that was exploited in an industrial manner for amber. And in that forest, we are designing a trail with some small panels, of course, not to be very invasive, so there'll be some small panels in the forest, explaining about the trees and about the animals that are hiding there, and they should be left alone, and we shouldn't talk very loud, so on in the forest. And this is the kind of strategy, if you would like to call it, regarding biodiversity in the geopark. We the first thing that Laura told us in the beginning was that the first step when building a geopark is identifying the resources. So the first step is doing a lot of research, academia research, about all these three kind of resources. So after you have this knowledge, you can start valorificating, like I said, through this kind of educational materials.
And as a university teacher, you are internationally connected? You're exchanging with other universities, for the other teachers, other researchers? How we can imagine this exchange?
We don't have anymore, but we had a very, amazing program. Of course, we still have the Erasmus programs with exchanging students, but we had, especially in the master degree where I teach, it was a very nice course with 5 universities around the world, and we had specific themes, and there were teams of 5 or 6 persons from different countries, and they were trying to develop a project related to that theme. But it was a very, very serious work with data and scientific data. They had to find them, to work with other scientists and so on, and they were just students. But it was really difficult. But after you made it through, and this course was a year and something, like this. It was a long course, but this was amazing. This interconnectivity and this exchange of ideas with different students. And what was the cherry on the top was that in summer, usually the teams were getting together in Sinaia. We have their research facility from the university, and they were getting together in a summer school, and everyone, we worked so hard together, and now we finally see each other. Yes, but unfortunately this, all good things come to an end, and this program actually,
Yeah, but there are this now new networks of European universities. It was one of the proposals of Emmanuel Macron. And now I think you have the possibility with some other universities from different countries maybe to restart again at such a program, because I think it's all about we have to try to learn from each other. This is very important, because we often see that at the national level we have also possibilities to learn, but international exchange is very important to learn from each other. And to educate people also, maybe also the people living in these geoparks, so how we can deal with this. And I have another question for you. What sometimes we read about how should I say, kind of wood mafia in Romania. So you know certainly about it. Is this a problem for geoparks, or are they survived from helicopters and drones and having always pictures about what is? No, I'm kidding.
This is a good idea.
You know what I mean? Yes. Satellites survive. No, but it's a serious question. Is this an issue for you?
In some of the geoparks, yes. Some they're not UNESCO Global Geoparks, so it's we don't call them geoparks. We call them aspiring geoparks or initiative of geoparks. Yeah. Never mind. What is important is that I'm not very familiar with this subject, and I don't want to speak of something that I'm not very sure about. Yes, but in Romania we have this kind of problem, but I cannot put my finger exactly where. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, see. I just will open our discussion also to the public. If you want to ask a question, give a comment, please go ahead. This is always possible. Add to our to the experience you made, maybe. Yes, you think about your question. just another one. Please. Is there also a system of, how do you see, of what is the English word for it? It's a kind of, can you cross these geoparks? Are there ways for tourists, special trips, things like this?
Yes, there are guided tours in many of our geoparks, and you can go from one place to another with a guide. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, most of them have maps with specific trails that you can go by yourself, and also with specific visiting points, but not only visiting points like museums and so on, also important from the natural point of view. Now we're developing also the connection, more connecting the community, meaning the local gastronomical points, where we put them also on the map, so the people can do this kind of a tour.
So let's go to the Romanian geoparks.
Please.
Please, if you have any question, go ahead. No, did we answer to everything? Did you answer? Laura, do you want to add something? Maybe you want to react on what we said and add a personal aspect.
No, I don't want to add because I think everything said, and yeah, Cristina made a good impression on what a geopark is. So yeah, it's all said, I think.
I think we have a question, if I may.
We have a question. Okay, great. Please go ahead. There is a microphone.
It's okay.
No, it's because
hello,
it's online.
Congrats for the presentation for both of you. It was really interesting. Just a statistic, which is the country nowadays which the most geoparks?
I think China, it is.
Yes. And in Europe?
Spain. I think it's Spain. I cannot tell 100% now, but I think it's Spain.
And another maybe stupid question, which is exactly the difference between UNESCO geoparks and, for example, UNESCO heritage? Like, I'm meaning now to the monasteries, to the painted monasteries in Moldavia, where they have the golden apple from UNESCO. They are included in the program. Which exactly is the difference or the connection between the two programs? You said the buildings are also included in the geoparks.
Yes, but they don't have this specific kind of protection for them like we have in World Heritage, where we have a building protected, like we have the monasteries, or something specific is a territory. The geopark is protecting the whole territory, not only specific things. And I'm going to be very subjective, but the geoparks are alive, are more interactive, are doing things, are always into projects. This is why I think they're more, the network is more alive. The Global Geoparks network, we're always having a conference. We are always, but not that kind of conference where everyone is bragging, oh, look what I did, look what I did. We also tell our problems and we try to fix them because we are there to grow and not only to present our successes. And yes, I think this is the biggest difference. The Geopark program is a very dynamic one, and everyone always has 3 or 4 projects ongoing with partners from the network.
There is any connection between them because they are under umbrella of UNESCO, let's say?
Yes. One territory can have more UNESCO designations, meaning in a geopark you can have some World Heritage places and any other, I don't know, for example, some protected areas, because the geopark is not a protected area, like in the book, what it says, the protected area.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
indeed, there are some connections. You have also, for instance, also territories which can be cultural heritage, like the vineyards from Burgund.
Exactly.
But it's not the same. But this would be a question: is the number, because the number of World Heritage is limited? You have every year a certain, I don't know, a certain number of new buildings or territories. Yeah. Is this also so for geoparks? Is limited? Do you know this?
Yes, I know this. Is not limited like for many years, but you only can apply 2 projects from each country every year. So, but in the whole world, you can apply as many as you wish, but from the same country, more than 2 you can't apply.
Okay, so it's a little bit the same system
but more free, let's say. And something else, I think, more than dynamic, is also more strict. I said it's not strict, but regarding the revalidation. For example, you get to be World Heritage Site, and then you only have some papers sent from 10 to 10 years. And in the UNESCO Global Geoparks, you have these real guys that come by foot and are checking and looking. They're staying 1 week. And I think from this point of view, again, is a difference between, because the World Heritage is a very difficult activity to become a World Heritage, many years. And for a global geopark, I think is somewhere around between 5 and 10 years, because the community has to really absorb the idea.
Yes.
It's not a team that is coming from outside and I have this great idea, we'll make the geopark, please.
So there are another 2 questions, please. Here. Just wait for the microphone. And then we...
Hello. How can the problem of people who live garbage around and who don't respect the geopark be managed?
Yes, it's a very important question and difficult to solve. We have in Buzăuland, I can give you a specific example. We have this activities from time to time when we gather people. We started with friends from those communities, and they're coming and gathering the litter. And from time to time, people in the eastern part of Romania, people are following examples. If you have a good example, somebody else will follow. And these teams got bigger, and they got also from... we started in one community, and then other communities followed the example. So this is one way, but I'm not saying this is going to work everywhere.
So there's another question behind you.
Hello. I hope I can express my thoughts in English well, because this isn't my native language. I really thought about tourism in UNESCO Global Geoparks, because it's a different kind of tourism. For example, when you go to Venice, you've got the waste kind of lying around there, also in the canals, and it's also really sad. And I thought about how do global geoparks have a kind of plan for sustainable tourism. for tourism that is also very good for the nature and us also kind of makes a good balance of making people interested in the resources and the cultural and the minerals and the honey and the alcohol and the in the kind of dyeing wool techniques.
Yes. Yes, so we are always trying to attract responsible tourists, not tourism. And we can do this by what we show. By, for example, on those panels or in the museums, if you specifically give some advice on how to behave, but not in an aggressive manner, like you do that, but in a friendly manner. For example, we did a kind of reglementation at the mud volcanoes. I'm not sure if any of you visited the mud volcanoes in the Buzău land, but it's a very nice surface, a place with many popping volcanoes with mud, and we have there some regulations. For example, of course, you cannot litter the place. You cannot jump in the volcano because many people do this. You cannot enter with a car, or for example, or any motorized vehicle. You cannot enter, for example, if it rains a lot, because of course you'll get drowned in that mud. And at first there were these signs, interdiction, and then no. And we tried another manner. We used some local stories. The local story there is the story of a dragon that was killing everything around, of course, hundreds of years ago. Now we don't have the dragon anymore. And of course, a mighty young man, prince, came and fought the dragon, and then he caught the dragon's almost all the heads, but he's still alive, and he's hiding under the mud volcanoes. And what you see, the volcano, the mud from the volcano, actually is the blood of the dragon. And we have this story, and we used it to make these regulations, saying that don't litter because the dragon will catch you. And of course, we have some drawings. And when you put interdictions in this familiar and amusing way, first thing is that you attract the children. And the children, oh, mom, dad, look there. And then the parents see it, and so on. So this is one way, involving local community stories in what you're trying to do.
Very interesting what you say, because that is really how, what I stated a little bit earlier, how do you educate people, by which methods and which pedagogy is very interesting. So we have possibly have a last question, if there is one. Yes, please. Go on.
First of all, to congratulate you both, Laura and Cristina.
Thank you.
And second, please tell me, with you in these projects, are participating also students?
Yes, we also involve students. We do all in the geology faculty where I teach. We have these practical periods where they have to be in the field and learn something, and they do this geological scientific period. And also they learn what a geopark means. And for example, I have this year some amazing students, and I'm really glad I had the opportunity to work with them. And they came in one of these practical trips, the geopark, and now they're building new ideas. They want to do a festival. The other one wants to do an app, and I told him, okay, don't come with ideas to me. Make them. Put them into action. And they are really doing this.
And are you organizing also open courses for other students, for other universities to participate? Because my daughter is a student at tourism, but at the Economic Academy.
Yeah.
And sounds very interesting, everything. And I would like her to follow you in all these nice places and projects.
if she is not already at the master's degree, she can come with my master degree.
She is.
She can take
but,
another one.
Just as a volunteer, it's something
Yes,
which
of
is
course.
for her will be for sure very nice.
For sure. I mean,
And,
look at Laura.
Yeah, if she could come from far away for us.
And also Nora here. She's a volunteer in Hatzig UNESCO Global Geopark, but
So,
she said nothing.
She can contact you, and from there she can
course.
see what can be done.
Yes.
Because I think for the young kids, it's a very nice project to be volunteer in something like this.
Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
So hello from me. I'm a volunteer at the UNESCO Global Geopark, and we have a nice volunteer program there for especially like for teenagers. They come like almost every day, help us with different projects we do, and they're also guiding our exhibition. So this is a way how we involve the local teenagers there. But I know that also like students can come if they have a project idea or proposal, and they're always very welcome to implement anything they want to do and help the geopark.
So any geopark is really open to students and to young volunteers.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Laura, and good continuation of your studies, of your life. You just said you come back to Romania to finish your volunteership. Thank you, Cristina. It was really fascinating to discuss with you about this. And I hope we all will soon discover, if we didn't yet, these geoparks. And yes, please have a drink maybe on our Eco Piazza and our ecological initiatives we are presenting now. Once again, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot to our volunteers who organized this talk, Julia and Johanna. Thanks to you. Have a nice evening. See you soon again.
Thank you.